Richard Nixon, in a book that I read about Eleanor Roosevelt, said, "Watch out for Hillary Rodham Clinton. She's the next Eleanor Roosevelt."
Aside that Nixon spent quite a bit of time in his later years criticizing me for all kinds of things, without necessarily disclosing that I was on the impeachment staff. Sure. You remember that was the constitutional impeachment.
Jerry Zeifman, a lifelong Democrat and the author of Without Honor, has concluded that Hillary Clinton is ethically unfit to be either a senator or president, and if she were to become president, the last vestiges of the traditional moral authority of the party of Roosevelt, Truman, and Johnson will be destroyed. Zeifman hired attorney Hillary Diane Rodham to be part of the Nixon impeachment inquiry. A question arose as to whether Nixon was legally entitled to counsel during the investigation. If so, his counsel would be allowed to cross-examine witnesses appearing before the panel. The concern about having counsel for Nixon cross-examine witnesses centered on E. Howard Hunt. Democrats on the committee feared that Nixon's counsel would elicit information from Hunt that could be very damaging to the Kennedys. Zeifman tells Hillary that Nixon is entitled to counsel. He cites documents in the committee's public file referencing the fact that Supreme Court Justice William O. Douglas had representation 4 years earlier while he was being investigated. Hillary went to the effort to remove those documents from the committee's public file, and she placed them under lock and key in her office, where they were not available for media or public scrutiny. Hillary then prepared a brief for filing with a federal judge, which falsely stated that there is no precedent for an official being investigated by the committee to have legal representation during that investigation. Before that false brief was presented to the federal judge, Richard Nixon resigned. Several members of the impeachment inquiry committee were terminated, including Hillary. When she was terminated, Zeifman refused to give Hillary a job recommendation. Why? Here's his quote. "Because she was a liar," Zeifman said. "She was an unethical, dishonest lawyer. She conspired to violate the Constitution, the rules of the House, the rules of the committee, and the rules of confidentiality." In 17 years, only 3 people were refused a letter of recommendation by Zeifman: John Doerr, Bernard Nussbaum, and Hillary Diane Rodham.
Aside that Nixon spent quite a bit of time in his later years criticizing me for all kinds of things, without necessarily disclosing that I was on the impeachment staff. Sure. You remember that was the constitutional impeachment. They paint me as the single biggest threat to Western civilization until